Hello everybody and welcome! After the almost 2-hour-long town hall for Kitten Space Agency, a spiritual successor to Kerbal space program currently in development at Rocketworks, we now have a lot more information, but still no date when the first free alpha for KSA is going to be available. Still, we now have a better idea on what areas the new game will be different from the original space simulation game. So today we're looking at how KSA plans to improve on the journey that KSP started. Before that, I have a massive thank you to all of you. We recently crossed the 100,000 subscriber mark here, and I couldn't have done it without your support. If you're new here and you enjoy deep dives into space simulation games like KSA and the Kerbal franchise, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future updates. Or you can watch the secrets I unearthed about Kerbal game development, like that KSP Lego game that was kept under wraps for years. Link to that is up top and in the description. But now, let's jump into 6 key things Kitten Space Agency will do differently from Kerbal's space program. First up, just like with any good rocket, a good game needs a great engine. But unlike Unity for KSP, things for KSA are going to be brutal. KSA isn't using an off-the-shelf engine like Unity, which powered both KSP and the troubled sequel KSP2. Instead, Rocketworks is building their own custom framework called Brutal. Why go through all that effort? Well, creating a bespoke engine allows them to tailor everything specifically for the complex physics simulations and vast scale a realistic space game demands. The idea is that this approach will sidestep some of the performance bottlenecks, physics glitches and inherent limitations of Unity that caused KSP players to often encounter game-breaking bugs, over time dubbed the Kraken. So far, the KSA developers claim that they haven't encountered any Krakens yet. And they should know how to bait them, since many of them have worked on both Kerbal games in the past, including the Kerbal creator himself, Harvester. Keeping everything in-house and custom-built will enable the developers to deal with fewer abstraction layers and have a tailor-made experience for KSA, if the gamble pays off. Speaking of experience, traveling between planets in KSP was a very tedious experience, and it appears the KSA developers agree, because they want to give us streamlined maneuver planning. Successfully traveling from your home to another planet is one of the most rewarding things you can experience in KSP. Plotting those interplanetary transfers across the vastness of space, however, involves awkwardly fiddling with maneuver nodes for quite some time until you finally get your encounter. KSA aims to make planning these maneuvers easier to understand, but without excessive hand-holding that dumbs down the challenge. The developers still want players to learn how orbital mechanics work, not a just press this button and you're good solution. The current implementation they've shown during the town hall involves setting up a maneuver node along the parent body's orbit, for example, planning your transfer burn from Earth to Mars while looking at Earth's orbit around the Sun. This way, you don't need a transfer window planner mod or an external website to tell you when the transfer windows are. You can just move your maneuver along the orbit until you get your desired encounter. Then, with the press of a button, the game will plan the maneuver at that point in time when the planet you're orbiting will be at this node, and also add the required delta V for performing the escape burn. It sounds like an intriguing approach to simplify the interface without making it too easy. However, at the moment this only works if you're in an orbit around the parent planet. If you are around the Moon, this would not work. There also currently is nothing implemented yet in regards to helping with gravity assists. Now, let me know what you think about this approach to maneuver planning. Is this middle ground of making it easier to find your transfer window but not offering a full maneuver planner, or at least not yet, a good idea? Sound off in the comments. There is also the idea to show the target planet in a separate camera window. In general, their framework is capable of multi-window support, which could be used to have parts of the interface on a separate monitor. For all you multitaskers out there like myself. This is a good time to talk about other multi-things. Because KSA will have multiple physics at once. Well, not really at once, but you won't really know. At least you shouldn't when it happens. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Kepler and Newton, or rather their ways of calculating physics. When Kepler is in control, KSA will act like its vehicles are on rails, similar to how orbits worked in KSP. Basically, it is the orbital calculation. However, once you perform a control input of any kind, Newton takes over to make sure the vehicle behaves correctly, or collides correctly with another for that matter. In their debug menu, the developers have a man-in-charge entry which tells them which of the two is currently governing the physics of the object in view. What this gives players is a couple of things. First, this enables vehicles in KSA to conserve their angular momentum, meaning if you rotate before you hit time warp, you will continue to rotate, just faster. And when you hit the attitude or throttle controls, the vehicle will react, even during time warp. If this will be implemented like that for the final game, gone are the days of KSP where you could arrest your momentum by just hitting time warp for a brief second. But this will also enable performing burns during time warp and also correcting your attitude during that burn while time warp is active. Again, this is all thanks to the flexibility that the Brutal framework offers the developers. What it also means is that all these actions can be performed in the background while time warp is active. Say, a probe performs a very long burn. You can switch to another vehicle and do other things while it does its thing in the background. I mentioned multi-things above, and yes, this is all thanks to multi-threading. But the way to really take advantage of this capability is going to be through scripting out of the box. If you really want to manage a huge fleet of spacecraft spread across the solar system, or multiple solar systems even, you will be pleased to hear that Kitten Space Agency will enable you to automate all of that. Yes, KSA will have built-in scripting capabilities. Dean Hall, CEO of RocketWorks, is a big fan of the KOS mod for Kerbal Space Program, which allows players to write code to control their vehicles. KSA intends to offer similar functionality natively. We don't have details yet on how this scripting will be implemented, but the goal is clear. Empower players who want to automate complex sequences right from the start, even before mods become available. Well, maybe not in the first alpha, so maybe really quick modders might be first anyway. It's worth noting that another great indie space sim, Juno New Origins, also features its own built-in scripting. Even with all the buzz around KSA currently, you should give some love to JNO. Aside from scripting, it also offers procedural parts which enables you to really make your vehicles your own. But KSA wants to go even deeper. The developers want you to create your own parts. This is potentially a game changer for advanced players. Because the KSA team is building the Brutal framework and the game itself from the ground up, they need to create their own tools, including for implementing the various rocket parts. Rather than keeping those powerful tools just for the developers, they plan to integrate a version of the parts builder directly into the game for players to use. This sounds like it will be geared towards more advanced users. While there will be familiar prefab parts to quickly put together a rocket and have some fun, the parts builder will enable players to experiment with part components, tweaking existing stuff and by extension creating their own in the end. The part builder is actually a necessary development step before they finalize the vehicle builder, and they might have the best person to help them out there. During the town hall, Dean Hall mentioned that he hopes that KSP creator Harvester might be lending his expertise to make the vehicle builder the best it can be. Aside from KSP, he also worked on KitHack, which also includes a very good vehicle builder. And while we're on the subject of Kerbals, just to round this off, KSA will contain Kittens, not Kerbals. My final point is the most obvious difference. The crew. It's Kitten Space Agency, not Kerbal Space Program. Despite Harvester's involvement, the iconic little green astronauts are nowhere to be seen, locked away under the intellectual property that was sold to Take-Two years ago and lately to investment firm Haveli, which continue to sit on it. But the shift to Kittens isn't just to not infringe on the Kerbal IP. The developers have stated they want to explore more meaningful progression options and gameplay mechanics related to the crew members themselves. Perhaps the Kitten theme opens doors for different types of skill trees, training, or even long-term effects of space travel that feel distinct from how KSP handles things. During the town hall, there was also talk of not just focusing on the pilots, because they believe that no spaceflight would be possible without hundreds more people getting things done outside of the capsule. How this is going to translate to the game is up in the air. So, those are 6 significant ways Kitten Space Agency is going to do things differently from Kerbal Space Program. It's pretty obvious to me that Rocketworks is aiming high with how they approach this, attempting to capture the spirit of KSP while pushing the genre forward. And you can be sure that I'll continue to keep my eye on this. But creating content like this and keeping the channel running takes a lot of time and resources. If you enjoy these deep dives and want to support the channel directly, please consider joining my Patreon. For a small monthly contribution, you get perks like watching all videos completely ad-free. Higher tiers, along with my valued YouTube channel members, get their names featured right here. A huge thank you to all these amazing supporters. Top-tier patrons also get early access to videos, usually several days before they go live here on YouTube. Except for this one. I'm sorry, I was super busy with my day job over the past couple of weeks. Anyway, check out the link to my Patreon in the description below. Looking at these 6 differences, which one are you most excited for, or which of them makes you scratch your head a little? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. If you want to watch the entire town hall, I've put up the full recording up on my channel a few days ago with chapter markers for all the relevant topics and questions that were answered during the almost 2-hour event. I'll link to it below. Oh, and since this video is going live around the Easter weekend, Happy Easter! Speaking of which, one of the things they talk about in the town hall is the possibility of Easter eggs inside Kitten Space Agency, like for instance the Mohole in KSP, a very distinct geological feature on the planet Moho in that game. Rocketworks recently hired Lynx, the developer behind the fantastic Parallax graphics mod for KSP. He said that they will surely hide a couple of fun things when they start working on planets. So, happy Easter everyone! If you like, you can watch this fun video about an egg-shaped spaceship I did a couple of years ago, or a video about Easter eggs in KSP. Link to those is in the description and up here. And if there is more information of KSA, you can be sure I'll talk about it in an upcoming video.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more and follow me on my social thingies. The links are in the description. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.